morning, welcome to BETT 2010, the fourth day. My name is Joe Moretti. I'm a distinguished educator on the ASE stand. We're going to have a little look at Magic GarageBand before I start the main presentation, which is going to be on exploring classroom music with music technology at Key Stage 2. Before we do that, we'll have a little bit of music from Magic GarageBand, and then I'll just explain what I'm doing with it in a second. So what we have here is Magic GarageBand. This is just one section of GarageBand that I'm going to show you. You see my instrumentation behind me. In this case, obviously, it's country and western. What I'm going to do is change the genre just to show you what it's capable of doing. I've got 9 genres to play with, so if I select rock and then audition the band, and I can change my guitar sound as well. At the moment, obviously, I'm using guitar. I could plug a USB keyboard in. I could improvise over the top of this with saxophone or any other acoustic instrument. The guitar is going straight into the Mac. There's no preamps involved here. So if I just change my input so that you can hear the guitar, you'll hear getting that kind of distorted sound straight from the Mac. Just turn the volume down just slightly. And the backing that's going on here, you see my guitar is the main. Let's just switch to the drums and show you, what's involved with these. Let's get a little bit of rock going. I can solo these drums, change the feel of them. You'll hear the drum style change. That's great for drummers who are just playing in one style to hear something else to play to and play with the band. So I'm going to leave it on Energetic Arena, unsolo it. Here's the bass part. It's a nice driving bass, but I can change that to something else. And you'll hear the bass style change. Of course, it changes the way that you play over it. I quite like the driving one, actually. Now when it comes to the guitar part, it's given me all these choices. This is called sort of the Britpop sound. And it's offered me a sort of clean sound. And here it's given me one called Stadium Solo. And I'm going to go for that one. It's kind of a bit louder, a bit more aggressive. And I'll just play this over the track for a little bit and show you what that sounds like. Just open that up. This is a little warm-up before we do the main presentation on Key Stage 2 music. If I open this in GarageBand, it loads up the tracks for the rest of the band behind me. Of course, I can edit those, and then there's my track here. And what I just want to point out is that if I double-click on this track, or on the information eye, you'll see that I have all these amps to play with. Here's a sort of Marshall stack. In this case, my amp, everything here will go up to 11 if I wanted to. And I can actually change the amps that I've got. So if I want something that's a little bit like a Vox amp, and then I've got this to play. And then I can adjust it just like a normal amp. I've got pedals to play with now in GarageBand 09. You can drag in some phaser. These are the quality pedal settings that we have from the Logic engine, and I can change it and take that back out again. Now when it comes to playing over the top of this, just let my Mesa set up again. In the main display here, you can see that the intro and everything's been marked out for me. So if I want to record this, I'm going to put on the cycle region. That's this little icon at the bottom. And what this allows me to do is I can define an area to practice over. So I can change the tempo, practice over it, listen to my playing back, etc. But if I decide to go into record mode, something else interesting happens. So I'm going to give myself a count in. When I hit the big red button, I will record the middle section, and I'll do it twice. This is what we get. So what I have there is that both takes from that solo are available there. So in any musical context, you can go round and round and just record the audio. If we think about some of the presentations you're going to see later today where they're recording podcasts and a student is recording their voice in, you get the same thing. So you can say to a student, don't worry about making mistakes, we'll go round and round until you get the one you want. This is a feature you may not have seen before. Let's say we make a mistake on the second recording, around there. If we split that audio at that point, and then just go to the bit where it goes right again on another recording and split it again, and I can split this as many times as I like, there's no limit to this. I'll zoom in and show you that on each section of that, we can pick up whichever recording. So if there are 5 takes, we call that comping. It's a composite of all the best bits, basically. And you're doing that in GarageBand, which is a free application, part of the iLife suite. Just before I start the main demonstration, I just want to drop in and show you another feature of GarageBand, which is really excellent. The Learn to Play section here, I've got some piano lessons and a guitar lesson I've downloaded, and an artist lesson. Let me show you what those are. In the lesson store, we have these basic lessons here. So we have piano right hand, etc., left hand, and we've got guitar lessons. So for your classroom, you've got these ready built-in lessons to use, and I'll show you what they look like. They download into this section. So here's the piano lesson. You get a presenter or teacher who will talk you through this. And as I go into the chords here, you'll see that we learn to form a chord of C, the basic chord of C. It's been shown as a chord symbol, but in my setup, I can change that to show me its notation depending on the student we're working with. The guitar lessons work exactly the same way, and the artist lessons also, apart from obviously this is the person who actually wrote the piece of music, all of the lessons will allow you to do what I'm about to show you. If he shows us something quite technically difficult, you must remember that from 13, 14 years of age, we've got guitarists emerging, they have phenomenal technique already. Well, giving them something like this to play, quite a difficult piece from Spirit of Radio by Rush, I can slow that down. Obviously the teacher's voice gets muted because we don't want him talking through the, here it is. And then I can actually etc. and work it out. So the artist lessons are just fantastic. So going on to the main part of my presentation.